Hello geographers, are you going to be teaching about water resources anytime soon? Well, stay tuned to this video because I'm going to go through 3 different lessons that you could potentially incorporate in your scheme of work, and I'll give you the links to the different video clips as well that are referenced, all within the GTB Vault. So I'll show you exactly where you can find them, so hopefully make it nice and straightforward for you. So the resources that we've got this time round then, once you've logged in, if you scroll down to the modules, they're all within the resources module here. So if I just click in here. And so as I said then, all 3 of them are in or related to water. So the first one is really quite a nice overview one actually. It's from the Netflix series and it's all focused specifically about the water crisis. And it also looks at the idea of day 0, particularly in Cape Town, and references a couple of other cities that may also end up in the same way. The key idea really underpinning this, though, is how do we price a resource that is so valuable, but also classed as a human right to access? So as ever, you'll find at the bottom here, you've got your lesson resources available to you. So you've got the key questions and the answers on the teacher sheet. You'll also have your PowerPoint, or should I say Google Slides, so you can introduce the lesson and get students to think about just how much water they're actually using at the moment. The follow-up task does actually reference some websites that students can have a look at in more detail and to try and create a visually appealing poster incorporating 3 of these elements. Now, although I have given some websites to look at, theoretically they can do it from a lot of the information they get from the video. So obviously adapt it to what you've got available to you in your classroom. Okay. So the second lesson is this one here, which is all based on the Egypt and Ethiopia dispute about the Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam, or Grand Renaissance Ethiopian Dam. I forget which way around it is. But effectively there's 2 video clips here. I couldn't decide which one to go with, so I decided just to put both of them on there, and largely it will be determined by how much time you've got. The first video clip I probably prefer a little bit. It's only 6 minutes long, but I think the presentation of it's really accessible. The second video clip's 18 minutes long. It's more in depth. It goes into a bit more detail about ownership of the Nile and which countries feel that they've got historic rights to it and why that is. So it does go into it in a bit more depth, and it's quite quick in terms of going through it. So there's a lot more detail in that one. So obviously pitch it depending on the students that you've got in front of you. So as ever, you've got your question and answer sheet for the 6-minute. You've also got your question and answer sheet available for the longer one. There's a follow-up Google Slides that goes alongside it, really talking about the idea of how water can eventually be a real source of conflict, and maybe potentially that's going to be our flashpoints in the future. And there's a nice link actually to a website that shows you some water conflicts around the world as well that you can maybe use as a follow-up task. So I get students to have a think about, how do we determine who owns what in terms of river water, particularly when it goes through more than one country, and also questioning whether it matters if a country is more developed or not. So lots of areas to kind of explore there, get students to kind of think about the views that they could represent, and obviously the follow-up there for potential water conflicts as well. Okay. The third lesson that we've got here is all about solving the water crisis. So this is a video clip from Earth Stories. It's quite a long one, this one. It's about 50 minutes, I think, if I remember rightly. And what's really useful about it is it gives you an overview of a whole variety of different solutions to both water scarcity, but also in terms of trying to improve water quality as well. So there's lots of different initiatives referred to in there, as well as some examples of what individuals can do. So you've got your question and answer sheet there. This one's a slightly different format. I'm getting students to kind of fill in a table there. You may prefer to add a few bits in. At the moment in the student sheet, it's taken out all of the red sections, but you might prefer to include some of those so there's less for them to kind of write as they're watching the video clip. On the slides, you'll see that you've got some questions just to try and get them kind of thinking about how we can solve the water crisis, because I imagine that this sort of lesson would follow on from already having explored the idea of the water crisis. So we're starting here really with a bit of a quiz, refreshing that knowledge. You've then got an opportunity to kind of rank the different solutions and consider whether they might be different according to the context of the country in terms of levels of development. So there's a variety of different activities that you can do in relation to that. I think that's all of them. Yeah, that's all three of the lessons there, and obviously you've got an extra set of resources available for the Egypt and Ethiopia lesson. Just a reminder, in order to find all the lessons, remember, if you ever forget where they are, just head into the Start Here module. So I'll just quickly show you where that is. And if you go to Lesson Resources, you'll find that you've got the grid there. This video will also appear in here as well once it's completed, so you can watch through again just to remind you of what's available. So there we have it. That's this month's resources added to the GTB Vault. And I'll see you again soon. Make sure you give me an email if there's any questions you've got, or pop over to Facebook. Okay, bye for now.